Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla. Tesla's sleeping giant in Germany is about to leave every other EV maker in the dust, as we hear more about Tesla's prediction for the rest of this year and 2023. Tesla's Model Y will shock the whole German car industry, as it will levitate to levels no other EV models can keep up with, and will become so big next year in Europe that there is actually no longer any doubt Tesla's Model Y will become the best-selling car in Europe by a huge margin in 2023. The numbers say it's a done deal. So let's check it all out and let's dive right in. Tesla is taking the old German automakers to school when it comes to EV production, and German automakers should be scared of what they see happening right now, because the Model Y is really starting to get some momentum and growing fast, and is the best-selling EV in the country in the last 3 months, August, July and June, just beating the Fiat 500e. But if we look at just August numbers, we can see the Tesla Model Ys are starting to leave everyone else behind, as the Berlin factory is getting to meaningful levels of production. It sold 2.5 times more than the runner-up. That is actually not just one car, but 2 cars, the ID.4 and the ID.5. And we know the Berlin factory should be at or very close to 2,000 Model Ys per week now. I don't think we have a confirmation on the 2,000 units yet, but we did just hear that Tesla expects to be at 5,000 units per week as we enter 2023. And I have heard that the Berlin should be producing 1,600 to 1,800 units per week as we speak. So if we say 1,500 units per week as we speak, and if they will be at about 5,000 units by the last week of the year, a very linear, simple ramp would look something like this, with about 250 units ramp per week. That would end up being 48,750 units for the rest of the year being produced in Berlin. All of this would of course not just go to Germany, but a big portion of it will. Tesla will also continue to export Model Ys to Europe from China to try to keep up with the demand here. In the first half of 2022, Tesla delivered about 41,851 Model Ys in Europe. We don't have all the numbers yet for August, but we have just seen that they delivered more than 4,200 units in Germany alone in August, so Tesla has at least delivered 45,000 units, where maybe something like 15,000 comes from the Berlin factory, and the last 30,000 still comes from China. And as China has really been ramping up, I do expect to see the same kind of numbers for the rest of the year as well coming out of China. And to put Model Y sales numbers in a little perspective, because it's not only becoming the best-selling EV, but gaining market share on the overall market. As I said, Tesla sold about 42,000 Model Ys in Europe in the first 6 months of the year, beating the Mercedes GLC with 40,500 and the BMW X3 with 31,000, and the second best-selling mid-size premium SUV with all-electric propulsion was the Audi Q4 e-tron with 11,000. So almost 4 times less than the Model Y. Almost half of all EV sales in the segment came from the Model Y, while Audi's combined EV volumes of 30,612 units, led by the Q4 e-tron and the normal e-tron, account for a third. So Audi is doing great in the EV sector, but even all their models combined can't even keep up with Tesla's one model, the Model Y. So with the ramp we see in the Berlin factory, with nearly 50,000 being produced for the rest of the year, and the 45,000 we already have, and maybe another 30,000 will come from China, we should expect the Model Y sales number here in Europe to be about 125,000 units already this year. That is a pretty good ramp for a model that has just entered the European market in August last year. And the production from the Berlin just started for real in April this year. So to put that in perspective, the Model Y this year, in its first full year of deliveries in Europe, will have sold more units than the ID.4's combined sales over the last 2 full years of deliveries in Europe. Or the Mach-E that has been in production since December 2020 will probably deliver something like 80,000 units globally this year. So that's pretty good, but that is still about 45,000 units less than the Model Y sales I expect in only Europe. The growth of the Model Y is just insane. Actually, the Model Y sales in Europe are growing so fast that the EV could potentially surpass the Audi A3 to become the continent's best-selling premium model outright, according to half-year figures from Dataforce seen by Automotive News Europe. If Tesla Model Y sales keep growing at the current rate, the electric SUV could become Europe's best-selling premium car in 2022, regardless of powertrain, beating the Audi A3, which sold 52,000 units in the first half of this year. Audi's compact premium car posted a sales decline in the first half, so the Model Y is already on its way to become Europe's best-selling premium car, no matter propulsion, in 2022. In its first full year on the continent. Very impressive, and should make the German automakers shake a bit in their boots, as Tesla is not just beating them on their home turf as an EV maker, but even beating their ICE car sales in the premium sector. But Tesla is far from done with its ramp of the Berlin factory by the end of this year. We have heard that they are still aiming for 10,000 units per week by the end of 2023. So if we make a linear growth once again from 5,000 to 10,000 units, it looks something like this, with an average ramp of 100 units per week through all 52 weeks of 2023. If Tesla will be able to do that, it will end up with a production capacity of 382,500 units in 2023 from the Berlin factory alone. So if there is no downtime, this would be Tesla Berlin's max production capacity in 2023. But they will need to switch from the 2170 cells to the 4680 cells at some point during the year, so that is at least a downtime we know about, and that should take about a month to get that done. So that would probably take it down to about 350,000 units in production. Depending on the timing of the shutdown, the later in the year, the bigger the numbers are going to be. And there will probably be other hiccups along the way, so 300,000 for the Berlin next year is probably a good guess. Or 250,000 if a lot of things do not go according to plan. But this is what we need to let sink in for a moment. If a lot goes wrong for Tesla, it will still make and sell about 250,000 units of the Model Y in Europe next year. The best-selling car in Europe in 2021 was of course the Golf, with just above 205,000 units. So this means that Tesla's Model Y will almost certainly become Europe's best-selling car next year, no matter the segment, and even by quite a lot. And when we look at the revenue, it will dominate, as the Golf starting price here in Denmark is about $20,000 less than the Model Y. And on top of that, Tesla earns about 20% gross margin on their Model Y, and Volkswagen gross margin is about 6%. So Tesla is actually the one sitting with the power to adjust prices if they need to boost the demand. If they lower the price just with $5,000, they will double the size of their market, where the other OEMs have difficulties doing that on the ICE cars, let alone their EVs, and it is pretty much only Tesla that makes money selling EVs right now in a meaningful way. So this is the really scary thing for the old guys, right? Tesla's Model Y will not only beat their EVs, but beat every single ICE model they have as well, both in unit sales and profitability, and probably with more than we think, as the Golf has been dropping in sales over the last couple of years, and all the other OEMs' ICE sales will still continue to drop very fast, but cannot keep up with the EV adoption rate. So Tesla will take some of that market share, and so will the Chinese. Because as we see here in Europe, the BEV is rising up faster than the old guys can keep up. In Germany, the biggest market in Europe, their BEV share in August was 16.1%, while the first half of 2022, Volkswagen had a BEV share of their production being 5.6%. So that is a 10% loss right there, because they are not producing enough BEVs. They are still in the market of plug-in hybrids, but pure BEV market is growing so fast that they cannot keep up. So there is absolutely no doubt that Volkswagen, BMW, Mercedes and all other car makers will lose more unit sales this year, as no one of them is selling more than 16% BEV in Europe. And other big countries like France and the UK also have 14.5% or 13.5% in August. And most of Scandinavia is almost 50%, with Sweden close to 30% and Norway of course close to 90% BEV market share. There is of course countries in Europe that hardly have any BEV sales yet, but still all of Europe has more than 11% BEV market share so far this year. That is still more than any other legacy automakers has in BEV production share. So they will fall in sales on this fact alone. And it's even worse in China. So Tesla's Model Y is rising up so fast that it hardly makes sense anymore to compare it to other EV models, because no one, absolutely no one, is keeping up with unit sales of this EV. The closest competitor is Tesla's own Model 3. Instead, we should start compare to other car models, EV or not, in its segment or just in general, as it is on its way to become the best-selling car in the world of any kind. As we see in Europe, it seems like a done deal for 2023. No one will be close, not even the Golf. Tesla will become quite a big player in Europe already next year. Maybe 300,000 Model Ys and 130,000 Model 3s and some X and S's in there as well could be sold in Europe next year. And then we are looking about 450,000 units in Europe in 2023. That is much bigger than someone like Volvo. Actually, one model, the Tesla Model Y, all on its own, could beat Volvo as a car company in Europe next year, as Volvo sells about 300,000 units in Europe every year. And as I made a whole video about, when the Berlin factory is built out, and we did just yet again see the new plans for the Berlin factory, where we also saw what the 100 hectares extra land was for, and that was for a big train station at the factory that should be able to send out about 2,500 cars a day, reducing the cost of transport and CO2 emissions substantially for Tesla Berlin. This is not approved yet though, so still a long way to go. It is Germany after all, but they also again showed off the rest of the factory, which will end up being with a production capacity of about 2 million, because the second phase is already being built right now, as the 4680 building is part of that phase. But the last two phases of the factory have not yet started, so that also means that Tesla will be able to implement all their learnings from building phase 1 and the Texas factory into the last 2.5 phases of the Berlin factory. So yes, Berlin might be Tesla's second version of their factory, but that is only the phase 1. The last phases will be even better and more efficient. So 2 million for sure. And that will make this factory the biggest car producer on the continent with only one factory. It's like people still don't get this, how big a move from Tesla this factory is. Audi is selling about 1.7 million units globally, and to do so, Audi uses 19 factories in 12 countries. Talk about efficiency. Yes, so many people are focusing on the EVs and really forgetting that it's the factory that is the real product, that is light years ahead of everyone else. So to dominate the European market, not EV, but car market, Tesla doesn't need to build more factories. They just need to build out the one they already have. So when we get to hear about Tesla's next gigafactory in Europe, remember, Tesla will dominate with just this one factory, so one more means Tesla is going for to become double the size of any other automaker on the continent. And globally, the Berlin factory also gives us a good idea of just how big Model Y could become next year, because Texas should be able to keep up pretty close with the Berlin factory and at some point in the future overtake it, but both have a great chance of producing 300,000 Model Ys next year, and Fremont at least 350,000 as well, depending on how they will do the split between the 3 and the Y at that factory. As we know, the production is 12,000 units per week now, and they are going for 14,000 units. So that is 728,000 units from the Fremont factory. So if about half of that will be the Model Y, we're talking about 350,000. And the Shanghai factory should be about 700,000 Model Ys next year. So then we are looking at 1.65 million Model Ys next year. And the best-selling car last year was the Toyota Corolla, but with 1.1 million units. So Tesla's capacity next year have a nice buffer to become the best-selling car of any kind. It is already a done deal in my opinion. It is just a question, will Tesla be able to produce 1.6 million or 1.2 million Model Ys in 2023? So, if the old guys are not shaking in the boots yet, they definitely should, as Tesla is about to show Germany and the rest of the world how you truly scale up EV production fast to extreme scale. And thank you for watching, and until next time, take care out there and be nice.